you would like more power?
Yes.
Well, there's a price. It's understanding where that power comes from. Every miracle has a process behind it. And if you understand the process, you can perform the miracle. How many of you have heard of Anthony Robbins? Raise your hand. My father is the one that actually got Anthony started on his path, where he discovered his own personal power. How about, have you heard of Wayne Dyer?
Yes.
My father got Wayne Dyer started on his path, was teaching him all about the power of intention 33 years ago in his living room. Now he's written the book, Power of Intention. How many have heard of David Wolfe? He's the leader in the raw food movement. I don't know if there's very many people that eat raw around here in the real estate office here. But by the way, there's a lot of people that have got started on their paths because of my father's work. My father named me as his top master student before he died. And so it's understanding where the power comes from. My father discovered what generates the power for every cell in your body to do what it's supposed to do. They name the diseases according to where those cells shut off, how it affects that part of the body, or who discovered it. Who cares what they call it? If you understand what causes it to shut off, you got the cause of all the problems. Right there. Where we take you past the medical school level of education on all the cause of all problems. At a grade school level of understanding. It's that kind of simplicity. When you get things in simplicity, where it's meant to be, that's where you get things in power. Have you ever heard knowledge is what? Power. Intelligence equals energy. Have you heard that? Every word in every language, as long as it has the same definition, it has the same energy signatures or frequencies. So the same combination of words, same combination of frequencies. You probably heard in the beginning was the word, and that's what the whole universe was created with, was intelligence. Well, there's actual quantum physics. That's exactly what it says. So the best and most important real estate for you to develop is the real estate right between your ears. And if you understood the power of that, you could accomplish anything you'd ever like to set your life to. How many of you have heard of Kevin Trudeau? Natural Cures. They don't want you to know about guy. He's made billions of dollars. How many of you have heard about him? Go ahead and raise your hand. He's made billions of dollars. You've probably seen him on TV. You just don't know who he is. Who do you listen to? Most of the time when people end up with an emergency situation, they'll either do what they know or what they have experience with, or what somebody in a white lab coat's able to tell them. But the information that I'm sharing this weekend isn't taught in the medical schools. It's been, in my opinion, it's sort of been kept from even the medical doctors. Too many of them have family members that have been dying with cancer and dropping dead or dying in the middle of the night with a heart attack, which has been killing 1 out of 2 people since 1980. Cancer was about 1 out of 5, went up to about 1 out of 3 in the mid-'80s, and by the time the end of the 80s hit, they came up with a big AIDS scare, which never even hit 1 out of 1,000. But it's continued to rise. But if you've got 1 out of 2 with heart disease, if all cancer was 1 out of 3, which is what it was in the mid-'80s, and obesity is almost tied with cancer, it's 1 out of 3 now, how many people is that? If you add it all together, that's more than 100%. How can that be? Well, people are dying of more than one disease. The people who are suffering. And most of the people in our country don't even know what their suffering is really coming from, physically. T. Harv Eker, Secrets of the Millionaire Mind, he says most money problems aren't even money problems. They're things that most people don't even see. And those are the most important principles to understand. Seeing is what? Believing. Ooh. That's what the typical herd mentality is. Sorry. Believing is seeing, not the other way around. Time is what?
Money.
Ooh. The most successful people throughout history know that time is more important than money. See, if you can work smarter, what if you could double your business next year and work not even as hard, where you don't have to try? Because, you know, when someone says, I tried, guess what that is? As soon as they say it, you know they failed. It's a recipe for failure. But when you understand, when you've got really your mindset right, life just seems to flow. And it's really important of how you feel, first of all, and what's going on inside. There's certain things that come before money. It's important to understand. Most people throughout the nation, with the suffering economy that's actually been happening to the masses, they don't know that the healthcare costs have doubled and tripled every 10 years since 1950. Here's some figures for you. $12.75 billion in 1950 went to $26.9 billion in 60. 74.7 was 70. $244.6 billion by 1980. The government decided to publish some actual facts about this and tell people what would happen by 1990. They projected it would hit over $700 billion. It hit over $1 trillion by 97, over $2 trillion by 2005, and when Obama was elected for president, he said, in order to solve our economy crisis, first we have to solve the rise in healthcare costs. First. How many of you understand the power of money that doubles? Would you rather have $1 a day that doubles for 30 days or $1 million today? $1. If you understand the power of money that doubles, you understand how important it is to avoid being part of this other problem called the rising healthcare costs. Which aren't, you know, if most money problems aren't really money problems. In fact, the more money we spend in healthcare, the death rate rises. It's not been solving our problems, putting more money in a problem that's not really a money problem. Especially our health problems aren't really money problems. Okay? Hope you understand that. They're not. But when people have colon cancer, they're willing to spend every dime they've got just for more time. And that there proves, they get their priorities in perspective right away, proves that time is more important than money. Again, the #1 cause of bankruptcy for years has been surprise healthcare costs. 75% of them have had full coverage medical insurance. How many of you have full coverage medical insurance? Go ahead and raise your hand. Who are lucky enough to do that in case an emergency happens. Because we have gone leaps and bounds when it comes to emergency medicine. But the experts that look at the diseases, of the killers of the past were infectious, and now they're degenerative diseases. Cancer, heart disease, obesity. They're degenerative diseases. Diabetes is a degenerative disease. And if you could understand the cause of all those, and what you had to do to prevent, remove, and eliminate it by yourself, without it costing you one dime, what would you do to obtain that knowledge and share that with your family and loved ones? Because most people are thinking, when's this big destruction going to happen that they talked about in our times? And they don't realize it's actually been here for quite a while. It's just been doubling about every 10 years. But we have 3 towers, not just 2 dropping, like what happened in 9/11, but there's 3 of them dropping every single day in the form of heart disease and cancer alone, in the United States alone. And if you could see them dropping, and that many people being destroyed right in front of you every single day, what would it take? The nation's been suffering financially as a whole, and physically, they've been basically brought to their knees, a lot of people have, and they don't even know why. They haven't been really shown the truth about why. And it takes somebody like us to show them. My goal is to help every single one of you know how we've set and healed bones without pins and surgery when they were on the operating table waiting for pins and surgery. And we coach them through it right over the phone. My job is to show you how we've taken people with blind and brain damage, little babies, and within a couple weeks they have their eyesight back. My job is to show you how even if you can turn one cell back on, you just resurrected that cell. And as long as the soul hasn't left the body yet, it's possible to resurrect people. Who's the one that said, even greater things ye shall do? Who said it? Even if you don't think he's necessarily your Savior, most of us would agree that he is a great master. Jesus Christ, right? Even if you're an Eastern religion, Jewish, Muslim, Hindu, whatever, Buddhist, doesn't matter. They recognize him as a great master. So, even greater things you shall do. Well, guess what? The greatest things that I've ever learned how to do. I've performed resurrections before. And some people say, oh, has he got some kind of Jesus powers? And I'm telling you, you could do greater things than I can. And this weekend, we're breaking down techniques, one after the other, after the other, after the other. Because if you understand the process, you can do it faster and easier than me. It doesn't mean that I should be anyone's spiritual leader. That's not what I'm here for. I'm here to help you, to show you that you can be the master. And you could actually take all the personal development programming that you've got sitting at home on your shelves, and take them, and if you knew how to basically take them and put them on steroids, what would that do for you? Because tonight alone, with the Race for the Truth event, we're going to be showing you how to magnify thought wave and actually take information and empower it in a way you've never done before. And Tony Robbins doesn't even teach half of what we're teaching tonight. But he still doesn't do a presentation until after he gets on a mini trampoline and does deep breathing and bouncing to get focused. Still today, he doesn't get up on stage until after getting on a mini trampoline, doing deep breathing and bouncing to get focused. What did Mr. Miyagi teach the Karate Kid? Just the deep breathing part. Well, if he had a mini trampoline, that would have doubled what he would have done alone. But if he knew how to have even more of the mindset while he was doing that, like what we're going to share tonight, it's not just what you see us do. It's what we're thinking that's even more important. And especially if you're willing to verbalize it. Did you know that Michael Jordan has a thought process before he does a free throw? Did you know, if you look at Karl Malone, he actually verbalizes it, a process. Every single time, the same thing. And they had a plan before they reached that success. Robert Kiyosaki had a plan before. And what did his poor dad say? That he couldn't do it. I can't. His rich dad refused to say that. Refused to let it even be said in the home. Because I can't doesn't even give yourself an opportunity to think hard enough to solve any problems. But if you even say, how can I? I don't know. This is my spectrum of understanding, but I know the universe is this big as far as what it can do. And the power out there, and the intelligence out there, in the universe is this big. If you believe in that, and say, I don't know, it doesn't matter what I understand. I just feel this. And I trust in this. If you go about it with whatever bummer comes up every day, I don't know how, but I just know that I can turn this into my biggest woohoo of the day. That's the purpose of it. You'll discover that. And if you ask, I don't know, but how can I? It's just like saying I can. And the answers, it opens up. The answers, they just tend to fall right in your lap. Well, I could, of course, take more of your time today. I appreciate what you've given me. And I got to tell you, every miracle has a process again. My father, he used to tell me, get on the ball. So I ended up taking him literally. And I didn't start out being able to do that. I had a guy show me how to get on the ball. We started lifting weights on him, throwing body balls at each other while we're standing on him. And I didn't start. One day I just decided just to top up on it. He didn't even teach me that. There's a process behind every miracle. Sometimes you got to crawl before you walk. And then you're crawling, you're just up on your knees. And then, finally, one day you get up to stand. Every miracle has a process, just like that. That was a 4-step process, if you didn't know it. I don't recommend you necessarily go home and try that. You'd be surprised how hard it is the first day. I didn't even think it was possible to stand on one of these balls. With everything that I was doing on hands and knees, I thought, no. I tried to even get hands and feet and tried standing up. I didn't think it was possible. My second day, I was standing on it. Thought, well, I didn't know how. I see this guy doing it. It must be possible. He says he can help me do it. I guess. I've helped people get up on it the first day, the first session. Yeah. Where I wasn't able to do that. I didn't do that. And I love helping people go beyond what I've ever been able to do. Tonight, everyone who decides to attend, you'll learn we're doing universal healing. It'll affect every one of your loved ones and everybody in the universe, not just on the planet, everything in the universe. If you've ever been through any kind of meditation, you'll say it's the highest level of intelligence in any meditation you've ever experienced in your life. And what it does for relationships, if everybody in the office here was to do it, you would be helping each other boost each other way past what you'd ever done. Just by the look in your eyes when you look at each other. Anytime you were to think of each other, you would be boosting each other in every way imaginable. And what it would do for the leaders and helping open doors for you, as well as you helping open doors for your leaders. It would be absolutely incredible. So anyway, congratulations. Thanks for your time. I got overtime again.
That's okay, Dr. West. Look, he's going to be here tonight at 6:30 to 8:30, right?
Yeah.
6:30 to 8:30 tonight, and tomorrow is the big day from 10 o'clock to 6 in the afternoon, okay? So what little bit you've heard from him here today, you're going to be able to be a part of it tonight and tomorrow. So let's give Dr. West a big I'm going to be on that ball.
No, Richard was here yesterday at the noon introduction, right? And you're nodding your head. Every time I looked over at you, he was like this.
I think you have some kind of power.
You know, a little bit of power. Well, it's all intelligence and power, you know. Thank you, Richard. You know, we talked about me coming back here and how often I may be able to come back. It would be a real stretch for me to come back.
Yeah.
Even a couple times a year, let alone quarterly, like what's been asked. We're going to see what we can do.
The power that he has transferred to me, and I've got him committed to once a quarter.
All right.
We're gonna see what we can do. I've looked at my schedule since then, and it may be the second weekend in December, maybe an opening. It's like the only opening that I have for at least until the next year.
Because you know, the thing is that yesterday while we were here, and how many of you were here? Raise your hand. Did you guys see a change in people? Right? I mean, we saw just in the quick time that we were here, somebody's spine being aligned.
Would you like to see that real quick?
Yes.
Who has the worst sciatic pain in here?
Bravo.
Who got the worst thing?
Who has the worst headache in here? Who has the worst sciatic pain in here?
Right here.
Right here, John. Come on up, John.
And there was somebody here last night that had really bad sciatic pain.
Nacho.
What's that?
Well, I'm Nacho.
I've been running and my lower back has been...
Let me show you what's going on here. John?
Yeah.
Can I put my hands on your iliac crest? It's on top of the hip bone.
Yeah.
Say yes, John.
Anybody else check you out?
Say yes, John.
Is that okay?
Yeah, that's fine. Thank you.
Now, the things that activate lymphatics is deep breathing, bouncing, stroking, compressing tissues, and energy. That's how, one way or another, all healing arts are tied into those things, those 5 things.
So jogging probably
So
does that.
deep breathing is good. Bouncing on a mini trampoline, what we're doing both of those. Stroking and compressing tissues, we do a lot of, and energy. Now, some of you might have just thought that I've just been talking about sex all day. At least I got your attention too. Well, do you mind if I stroke your bum though, if I have to?
Absolutely.
I don't really want to be known as the greatest bum stroker in the world. I'm going to see what you can do on your own. Look at the permission he's willing to give you guys. You guys are going to be having a lot of fun in your office. Well, we're going to be having a lot of fun. Well, let's see what's happening here, John. If you follow the hip bones, they come around. You can follow them from the sides. They come around the back. And the fingers on top of the iliac crest here and here, then you run into the erector muscles. They're really thick. And if you try to go past this point, the bones disappear because those muscles are so thick. They carry a lot of the load in the body. You see which one's high versus one's low, you guys?
The right is high.
And this is kind of what we're looking at, John. If the L5, lowest lumbar, sits on the sacrum where it's tilted like that, because the muscles down here go into contraction, the sodium-potassium pump my father discovered, the electric generator of the cell, what generates that power, when it ends up in we know, depending on what position it's in, a muscle fiber is either contracted or relaxed. So there's all the muscle problems right there. They're all contracted problems. Lack of oxygen, they always contract. So basically that pulls that hip down, and with the high side on the right, the nerve that comes through that space between the L5 and the sacrum gets pinched and swells it up all the way down the leg on the right side. Is that right?
Yep.
So mind if I check for pain?
Go for it.
The sweet spot, I'm going to have to say, is right here. Is there pain right in there? How about right up in here? There's another one right there.
Right there.
And there's those 2 places we can teach you how to check anybody. Now, real quick, John, I'm going to prove to you that this is actually tied to your main power plants in your body. And all chiropractics ought to be teaching their people how to turn on their endocrine glands. Because the neck and the hips are the two main controlling points for the rest of the spine, too. Then you've got intrinsic muscles. There's another technique that we have called the spine elevator, spine escalator, that actually targets all those fibers. Each one of those spaces, there's 25 spaces with 5 intrinsic muscles in each space, gives you 125 of all the 600 muscles in the body are right in the spine. And there isn't another technique in the world that targets them the way that this other technique does. 98% of all programs that claim they have a benefit for scoliosis don't really, but all the chiropractors who learn this technique of ours, they get measurable results. If they measure before and after, they get it the first try, measurable results to prove it. So with your permission, though, there's something I can do within a split second. I call it an instant health data transfer, and it's something that I have 100% success teaching anybody who decides that they're going to do it. Who become a full course student of mine. You get the complete course. You end up having all the events free for life, and you can bring up to one other family member with you each time you come for free. Because that's the kind of experience that it takes to make the change in the world that we're going to have to change. Right? But it's like you become a Jedi overnight. Because we can transfer over 2 hours of conscious data to the subconscious within a split second, if you ever thought that was possible. But the eyes are what? The windows to the soul. They're not the only window to the soul. We're going to learn about that, especially with your loved ones who you have had or have strong relationships with. So, with your permission, John, I'll transfer a data file. Ready?
Ready.
Done.
Thank you.
We got to prove it, John. We got to prove it. What do you guys see there? When you watch them walking back and forth, my hands are following those hips. What do you see? Perfectly straight, right? Now, if I check right away, there will be some pain relief that fast. Most of it. But if I even just wait a few minutes, because it's been pinched, it's been swollen, and as soon as we take the pressure off, swelling starts coming out of that nerve. If we wait a few minutes and check again, then there's even more pain gone automatically, makes an even better success story. So there's a few tricks to showing this the right way with the group here. But, you ready?
I'm ready.
Okay. How's that?
No pain at all.
Thank you. You bet.
Very, very good. Okay, so if everybody comes tonight, they'll be able to jump on that ball tonight, right? And
That
do
actually,
role playing and
that actually sent power, sent energy to every organ and every part of his body instantly. What would that do for the golf business with their alignment, just to keep their neck and hips in? Do you know how many of them go to chiropractors before any tournament? What if they could do it before every swing within a split second? Or any other athlete, dancers? What would it do for their turns? And some of them wonder why they have days that are just off. Some real estate agents wonder that too. We gave you a few things to add to your mindset just yesterday, but from now on, it's all about the practical application. If you decide to come and you haven't had the intro, go online, powerhill.com, and listen to an audio called From the Medical Dark Ages to Zero Disease. It's free. That's your intro if you haven't been to one yet. It's a prerequisite to go to any of the other events. That way you have the foundation. You know why it's possible what we're doing. Okay.
Okay, very good. Thank you, Dr. West. Okay, last night, how many people were here last night, Raoul?
About 50, 60.
60 people here last night, so probably expect the same amount, if not more, tonight. So make it a point, guys, especially if you have issues, okay?